The monitoring station floated in the empty space between star systems. It had been watching the same region for 3,000 cycles. Nothing ever happened here. Nothing was supposed to happen here. The Veil sector was forbidden, locked away from the rest of the galaxy by endless warning beacons and patrol ships. Commander Zix Theta moved his 8 tentacles across the control panels. Each tentacle worked on a different screen, checking readings that never changed. His 3 eyes blinked slowly as he fought off sleep. Another boring shift watching nothing. Then, one of his tentacles froze. The screen showed something impossible. An energy signature had appeared deep inside the forbidden zone, not near the edge where sometimes debris drifted in by accident. This was at the very center, where space itself was still broken from the ancient catastrophe. Zix Theta's other tentacles stopped moving. All 3 eyes focused on the same screen. The signature was getting stronger. Something was coming through. Something big. He triggered every alarm in the station. Within seconds, his superiors were flooding his communication channels with demands for information. Zix Theta could only point at the screens. The readings didn't make sense. The energy pattern looked like a ship, but it was using frequencies that hadn't been detected for thousands of years. Frequencies from before the Great War. Captain Lisa Morgan gripped the arms of her command chair as the horizon's edge shook, violently. The jump drive was screaming warnings through every speaker on the bridge. This wasn't right. They were supposed to exit jump space near Jupiter, a simple test flight for the new engine design. Instead, the view screen showed chaos. Space outside looked wrong. It rippled like water, with colors that shouldn't exist bleeding through cracks in reality. The ship lurched again, throwing several crew members to the floor. Lisa's training kicked in, pushing down the fear that wanted to crawl up her throat. "Jake, what's our status?" she called to her first officer. Commander Jake Sullivan pulled himself back to his station, blood running from a cut on his forehead. "Hull integrity holding, but barely. The jump drive is completely offline. I'm not even sure where we are. None of the star positions match our charts." "That's impossible," Lisa said, but even as the words left her mouth, she knew Jake wouldn't lie about something like this. "Paul, can you get the engines back online?" Chief Engineer Paul Martinez's voice crackled through the intercom from engineering. "Captain, you need to see these readings. The quantum signature of local space is completely different from anything in our database. It's like we're not in the same universe anymore." Before Lisa could respond, the communication officer Amy Chen spun in her chair. "Captain, we're being hailed. Multiple signals, but the languages. Our translators can't make sense of most of them. Wait, one's coming through in something close to English, but it's heavily distorted." "Put it on speakers," Lisa ordered. The Sao bridge filled with static, then a voice that sounded like it was being filtered through water and grinding metal. "Unknown vessel. You are in violation of Galactic Council Mandate 779. The Veil sector is forbidden. State your species and origin immediately or face destruction." Lisa stood up, smoothing her uniform. Whatever was happening, they needed to project strength. "This is Captain Lisa Morgan of the Earth ship Horizon's Edge. We've experienced a malfunction with our faster-than-light drive. We mean no harm and request assistance." The silence that followed lasted so long that Lisa wondered if their message had gotten through. Then the static returned, and this time multiple voices could be heard arguing in the background. Finally, the original voice returned, but now it sounded different. Shocked, maybe even afraid. "Did you say Earth? Did you say you're human?" "Yes, I'm human. We all are. This is a human vessel from Earth." Lisa exchanged confused looks with Jake. Why would that be surprising? "Can you provide assistance? We need to repair our drive and return home." The arguing in the background intensified. Lisa could make out fragments of words, things about impossibility, extinction, and ancient records. Then a new voice took over, speaking more clearly, though still obviously not human. "Human vessel, do not move. Do not activate any systems. Fleet elements are converging on your position. Any hostile action will result in immediate termination." The view screen lit up with proximity warnings as ships began appearing around them. Not just a few patrol vessels, but dozens. then hundreds. They came in all shapes and sizes, some looking like giant crystals, others resembling organic creatures more than spacecraft. They all had weapons trained on the horizon's edge. "Captain," Jake said quietly, "I'm reading over 300 vessels and more arriving every second. It's like the entire galaxy is mobilizing." Lisa sat back down slowly. Whatever they had stumbled into. It was much bigger than a simple navigation error. "Amy, try to establish better communication. We need to understand what's happening here." "I'm trying, Captain, but their technology is completely different from ours. It's almost like they're centuries ahead of us in some ways. But their transmission methods seem ancient in others." A new ship appeared directly in front of them, larger than all the others. It looked like it was made of living metal that flowed and shifted as it moved. A bright light engulfed the horizon's edge, and Lisa felt a strange tingling sensation. "They're scanning us," Paul reported from engineering. "But Captain, it's not just our ship. They're scanning our DNA, our atomic structure, everything. It's the most thorough scan I've ever seen." The communication system crackled again. This time the voice was clearer, and Lisa could tell it belonged to something with multiple vocal cords speaking in harmony. "Analysis confirmed. Genetic markers match historical records. These are humans, but that's impossible. Humanity has been extinct for 5 millennia. Lisa felt her blood run cold. Extinct? 5 millennia? There must be some mistake. Earth is very much alive. Humanity is thriving. We've only been in space for 50 years. The silence returned, heavier this time. When the voice spoke again, it carried a weight of confusion and something else. Hope, maybe? "Human Captain Lisa Morgan, you will dock with our vessel. You will bring your senior staff. There are questions that must be answered. The Galactic Council must understand how you exist when your entire species died 5,000 years ago, saving the galaxy from the convergence." Lisa looked around at her bridge crew. They all wore the same expression of confused fear. Whatever had happened when their jump drive malfunctioned, they weren't just in unexplored space. They were somewhere where humanity was a legend, a dead race remembered for some great sacrifice. "Understood," Lisa replied, keeping her voice steady. "We'll prepare to dock, but I want your word that my crew will not be harmed. You have the word of Ambassador Krelock of the Galactic Council. No harm will come to you. How could we harm humanity when your species gave everything to save us all? But we must understand. Are you truly human? Are you from the past? The future? Another dimension? The implications of your presence here could change everything." As the alien ship extended what looked like a docking tunnel made of liquid metal, Lisa turned to her crew. "I don't know what we've gotten ourselves into, but we need answers as much as they do. Jake, you're with me. Paul, keep working on the jump drive. Amy, try to establish a data link with their systems. Learn whatever you can." She paused at the door to the bridge. "And everyone, stay alert. They say humanity is extinct here, but we're very much alive. Let's keep it that way." The docking tunnel sealed around their airlock with a sound like breathing. As Lisa prepared to meet these aliens who knew humanity only as a memory, she couldn't shake the feeling that their simple test flight had become something much more significant. They weren't just lost in space. They were lost in a galaxy that had mourned humanity for 5,000 years, and now they had returned from the impossible. Ambassador Krelock had lived for 800 cycles, but she had never felt her legs shake like this. All 6 of them trembled as she waited in the conference chamber for the humans to arrive. The word itself felt strange in her mind. Humans. They were supposed to be myths, legends told to young ones about the species that had given everything. She looked at the datapad again, reading the genetic scan results for the 10th time. There was no doubt. These beings were 100% human, matching the genetic records preserved in the Great Archive. But that was impossible. She had stood at the memorial on sacred ground, where Earth had once orbited its star. Nothing remained there but twisted space and eternal fire, a scar that would never heal. The door opened with a soft hiss. 2 beings walked in, and Krelock's breath caught in her throat. They moved with the same confident grace described in the old texts. Bipedal, with those strange, flexible faces that could show so many emotions. The female in front had yellow hair and blue eyes, just like the pictures in the history files. The male behind her was taller, with dark skin and brown eyes that looked at everything, measuring, calculating. "Ambassador Krelock," the female said, extending her hand. Krelock knew this gesture from the archives. A handshake, humans called it, a sign of peaceful greeting. She extended one of her own appendages, wrapping it gently around the human's hand. The warmth of mammalian blood, exactly as the text described. "Captain Lisa Morgan," Krelock said, her translator working to keep her voice steady. "Commander Jake Sullivan, please, sit. We have much to discuss." The humans sat in the chairs that had been hastily modified for their body type. Krelock noticed how they kept their backs straight, alert but not aggressive, just like the old stories said human warriors would act. "Ambassador," Lisa began, "your people keep saying humanity is extinct, that we died 5,000 years ago, but that's not possible. Earth is fine. We left it 3 weeks ago for a simple test flight." Krelock's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep thought among her people. "Captain, I must show you something. It may be disturbing." She activated the holographic display in the center of the table. A star system appeared with a yellow sun at its center. "This is the Sol system, as it exists now." Lisa leaned forward. "That's not Sol. Where's Earth? Where's Mars?" "Earth is gone, Captain. It was destroyed in the year 2157 by your calendar, during the final battle of the Convergence War." Krelock changed the display, showing historical footage. Ships that looked human in design, but far more advanced than the horizon's edge, fought against creatures of living shadow that poured from rips in space itself. Jake stood up abruptly. "That's not possible. In 2157, we had just established the first permanent base on Mars. We didn't have warships like those. And yet," Krelock said softly, "here is the record. Would you like to see more?" For the next hour, she showed them the history they couldn't believe. Humanity had been the first species to achieve faster-than-light travel, not in the late 2100s, as Lisa knew, but in 2089. They had expanded rapidly, meeting other species, forming the first Galactic Council. They had been the leaders, the peacemakers, the ones who brought different species together. Then came the convergence. A dimensional rift had opened near Earth, and through it came the Devourers, beings from another reality that consumed energy itself. The war had lasted 20 years. In the end, humanity had made the ultimate choice. They had turned Earth itself into a weapon, collapsing their homeworld into a controlled singularity that sealed the rift. Every human in the Sol system had died. The few colonies scattered among the stars had faded within a generation, unable to maintain their population. Lisa's hands were clenched so tight her knuckles were white. "This isn't our history. In our timeline, we developed FTL travel in 2176, just 50 years ago. We've met no other species until now." Krelock's middle arms began to move, a gesture of extreme agitation. "Your timeline? Captain, what exactly happened when you arrived here?" Jake pulled out a data pad. "Our jump drive malfunctioned, but according to our chief engineer, the malfunction wasn't normal. The quantum signature of space here is completely different from what we know. He thinks we didn't just jump through space, we jumped through dimensions." The ambassador stood suddenly, all 6 legs moving in perfect coordination. "Another dimension, another reality. By the sacred cores, it makes sense." She began pacing, her legs clicking on the metal floor. "Our scientists have theorized about parallel universes, realities where history took different paths. If your humanity developed slower, took a different path to the stars, then we're not your humans." Lisa finished. "We're from a reality where humanity survived, where Earth was never destroyed." Krelock stopped pacing and turned to face them fully. "Do you understand what this means? For 5 millennia, every species in the galaxy has mourned humanity. You are revered as the saviors who gave everything. Entire religions have formed around your sacrifice, and now you're here. Alive. Real. We're just 200 people on one ship, Lisa said. We're not saviors. We're explorers who got lost. That may be what you were, Krelock said, her voice taking on an urgent tone. But that's not what you are now. Captain, there's something else you need to know. The Convergence War never truly ended. We sealed the rift, yes, but the Devourers have been probing our reality ever since, looking for another way in. Our defenses have been slowly failing. Many believed that when humanity died, they took the knowledge of how to truly stop the Devourers with them. She activated another display, showing a vast station hidden in the Forbidden Zone. This is why the Veil sector is forbidden. It's not just the damaged space. There's something there, something your people built before the end. We've never been able to access it. It only responds to human genetic codes, and we had no humans left to activate it. Lisa and Jake exchanged looks. You want us to go there? Jake said. It wasn't a question. The station started powering up the moment you arrived. Krelock confirmed. It knows you're here. Whatever the humans of this reality left behind, it's waking up for you. Lisa stood slowly. We need to discuss this with our crew. This is too big a decision to make alone. Of course. But Captain, you must understand the situation. News of your arrival is already spreading. Some will see you as the second coming of humanity returned to save us again. Others, she paused, choosing her words carefully. Others have built their power on humanity's absence. The Vor hegemony controls most of what was once human space. They will not welcome your return. Are you saying we're in danger? I'm saying you're the most important beings in the galaxy right now. 200 humans when we thought there were none. Some will worship you, others will fear you, and everyone will want to use you. Lisa felt the weight of those words settle on her shoulders. They had left Earth as explorers on a simple test flight. Now they were the only humans in a galaxy that had mythologized their species. We'll need protection while we figure this out. You'll have it, Krelock assured her. The Council will ensure your safety. But Captain, time is not on our side. Our long-range sensors have detected increased activity at the dimensional boundaries. The Devourers are pushing harder than ever. If that station contains what we hope it does, we need to know soon. As Lisa and Jake prepared to return to their ship, Krelock asked one more question. Captain, in your reality, does humanity know about the Devourers? Have you encountered them? Lisa shook her head. We've never heard of them. Our space seems peaceful. No dimensional rifts, no beings from other realities. Then perhaps, the ambassador said quietly, your humanity developed differently because you never faced the threat that destroyed ours. You took the slow path because you had the luxury of time. Here, humanity rushed to the stars because something was chasing them. They just didn't know it yet. Walking back through the liquid metal tunnel to their ship, Lisa felt the universe had become a much larger and more dangerous place. They weren't just lost. They were the only humans in a reality that desperately needed them. The question was whether 200 people from a peaceful Earth could fill the shoes of the legends who had saved a galaxy. Back on the horizon's edge, Lisa called a meeting of all senior staff. She looked at the faces of her crew, people who had signed up for a simple test flight and were now the last humans in this reality. We have a choice to make, she began, and started explaining the impossible truth of where they were and what they might have to become. The journey to the center of the Forbidden Zone took 3 days. The horizon's edge moved slowly, surrounded by a protective fleet of council ships. Lisa stood on the bridge, watching the space outside grow stranger with each passing hour. Reality itself seemed wounded here. Colors that shouldn't exist bled through cracks in space. Sometimes she could see other dimensions pressing against their own, like looking through broken glass. Captain, we're approaching the coordinates, Amy Chen reported from her station. But I'm not seeing anything on sensors. Neither are the council ships, Jake added, monitoring their communications. They say this is normal. The station exists partially outside our dimension. Lisa nodded, though the explanation made her head hurt. Everything about this mission felt wrong and right at the same time. 2 days ago, she had addressed the entire crew, explaining their situation. The debate had lasted hours. Some wanted to focus on getting home. Others felt they had a responsibility to help. In the end, the vote had been unanimous. They would investigate the station. "Captain," Paul's voice came through the intercom. "You need to see this. I'm detecting an energy buildup directly ahead. It matches the quantum signature of our jump drive, but it's about 1,000 times more powerful." Before Lisa could respond, space in front of them began to twist. It folded in on itself, then exploded outward in a shower of light that shouldn't exist. When the light faded, a station hung in space where nothing had been before. It was massive, easily the size of a small moon, but its design was unmistakably human. Lisa could see familiar architectural elements mixed with technology that seemed impossibly advanced. It was as if someone had taken Earth engineering and evolved it forward 1,000 years. "We're being scanned," Amy announced. "The station is reading our genetic codes, our brain patterns, everything." "Wait, I'm receiving a signal. It's in English. Perfect, modern English." "Put it through," Lisa ordered. A voice filled the bridge, warm and clearly human. "Welcome, children of Earth. We have been waiting for you. Please dock at Bay 7. The answers you seek are here." The docking procedure was completely automated. The station systems took control of their ship with a gentle touch, guiding them into a bay that could have held a dozen vessels the size of the horizon's edge. As they passed through the bay doors, Lisa saw something that made her heart skip. Other ships were docked here, human ships with names written in English. The Washington, the Beijing, the Mumbai. "Those ships," Jake said quietly. "They look ancient but perfectly preserved." They were met at the airlock by holographic projections, three-dimensional recordings of humans in military uniforms. The lead figure was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. He smiled as they approached. "I am Admiral John Carter, or at least a recording of him. I died 5,000 years ago along with the rest of humanity in this reality. But we knew this day would come. We knew that somewhere, in some dimension, humanity would survive and find their way here." Lisa stepped forward. "Admiral, how did you know? How could you prepare for us?" The hologram's expression became serious. "Because we discovered the truth about the Devourers too late to save ourselves. They're not just from another dimension. They're from a dimension where they've consumed everything. They move from reality to reality, feeding on energy itself. Every universe they find, they drain it dry." He began walking, and Lisa's team followed. The station's corridors were vast but felt comfortable, built for human proportions. We learned that the rifts don't open randomly. They're attracted to certain types of energy, the kind produced by advanced civilizations. The faster a species develops, the brighter they burn in the dimensional spectrum. The brighter they burn, the sooner the Devourers find them. That's why humanity in this reality developed so fast, Amy said, understanding dawning in her voice. "You were burning bright." "Exactly," the Admiral's hologram nodded. "We went from first flight to faster-than-light travel in less than a century. We were a beacon across dimensions. But you, from what our sensors tell us, took twice as long. You developed slowly, carefully. You're harder for them to see." They entered a vast chamber filled with floating displays and control panels. At its center was a chair that looked oddly simple compared to the technology around it. "This is the Heritage Command Center," Admiral Carter explained. "From here, a human can control every defensive system we built, every weapon we hid, every ship we saved. But it only responds to living humans. We made sure of that. We knew the other species would try to use our technology, and some of it is too dangerous in the wrong hands." Lisa approached the chair slowly. "What kind of weapons?" "The kind that can seal dimensional rifts permanently, the kind that can hide an entire galaxy from the Devourer's sight, the kind that can, if necessary, strike across dimensions to end the threat at its source." Jake whistled softly. "You built all this knowing you wouldn't survive to use it?" Another hologram appeared. This one a woman in a scientist's coat. "We had 18 months between discovering the truth and the final battle. We knew we couldn't win. Earth was already targeted, already burning too bright. So we made a choice. We would be the bait, the sacrifice that sealed the immediate rift. But we would also be the preparation for the real fight. She gestured to the displays around them. We hid stations like this across the galaxy, all partially phased out of normal space. We saved what ships we could, filled them with supplies and weapons. We created automated defense systems that would activate when humans returned. And we knew humans would return. How? Lisa asked. Because in infinity, everything that can happen will happen. In some reality, humanity would survive, develop differently, and find their way here. The dimensional rift we created when we destroyed Earth wasn't just a weapon, it was a beacon, a lighthouse across realities calling to other versions of humanity. Paul had been examining one of the consoles. Captain, this is incredible. The technology here is beyond anything we've imagined, but it's all based on principles we understand. It's like they built it specifically so we could learn to use it. We did, Admiral Carter confirmed. Every system, every weapon, every ship has training programs built in. We estimated you would need 6 months to fully understand everything, but you can begin using basic systems immediately. Lisa finally sat in the command chair. The moment she did, the entire room came alive. Displays showed her the galaxy from 1,000 different viewpoints. She could see the Council fleet outside, the damage to space itself, and something else. Points of light at the edge of the galaxy, growing brighter. The Devourers, she said softly. They're scouts, the Admiral corrected. The main force is still searching for a way in, but they know the rift is weakening. Our models suggest you have perhaps a year before they break through in force. A year to learn technology that's 5,000 years ahead of us and prepare to fight beings from another dimension, Jake summarized. No pressure. Amy had found another console showing personnel records. Captain, according to this, there were human colonies that survived the war. Small populations on 12 different worlds. They all died out within a generation. But it says here that genetic samples were preserved. The scientist hologram nodded. We saved what we could. Genetic material from 10 million humans stored in stasis vaults across the station. If you choose, you could bring them back. Cloning technology has advanced far enough. It would take time, but humanity could truly return to this galaxy. Lisa felt the weight of that possibility. They could rebuild humanity here. But should they? Did they have the right? There's more, Admiral Carter said. We made contact with other human realities before the end. Brief communications across dimensional barriers. We know of at least 7 realities where humanity survived, in different ways. The technology to contact them is here, though using it risks attracting the Devourer's attention. Other human realities, Lisa repeated. We're not alone. You never were, and neither is this galaxy. Captain Morgan, the choice is yours. You can use this station to return home to your peaceful reality. The dimensional drive we built can send you back, or you can stay and fight. You can become what this galaxy needs, what we prepared you to be. Lisa looked at her crew. She saw fear, yes, but also determination. They had come here as explorers. They were being asked to become defenders of an entire galaxy. We need time to decide, she said. Time you have, though not much. The station will respond to any human who sits in that chair. The knowledge we preserved is yours to use. But remember, Captain, with great power comes great responsibility. We learned that too late. We hope you can learn it in time. The holograms faded, leaving the humans alone with the greatest collection of technology and weapons their species had ever created. Outside, the galaxy waited to see what these new humans would choose. Would they run, or would they stand and fight? Lisa stood from the chair, her mind racing with possibilities. Jake, get everyone over here, all 200 of us. We have a lot to learn and not much time to learn it. As her crew began exploring the station, Lisa returned to the command chair. She placed her hand on its arm, feeling the subtle hum of power waiting to be directed. Humanity's legacy in this reality was one of. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, beings who had never seen a human watched the footage from the Council's emergency session. Captain Lisa Morgan stood before the assembled representatives, her small figure dwarfed by the massive chamber, yet somehow commanding attention from every being present. Humanity has returned, the broadcasts announced. The extinct saviors live again. In the depths of Vor Prime, Supreme Commander Thax smashed his armored fist into the communication console. The metal crumpled like paper under his four-fingered grip. For 5,000 years, the Vor hegemony had grown powerful in humanity's absence. They had claimed the old human colonies, their planets, their trade routes. They had built their empire on the bones of humanity's legacy. 200 humans, his advisor whispered. Only 200, Supreme Commander. They are no threat. Thax turned his three eyes toward the advisor. No threat? They've activated the Forbidden Station. They control weapons we've tried to claim for millennia. Every defensive system humanity left behind is waking up. And worse, the people remember. They remember who saved them. And they remember who took advantage of humanity's sacrifice. He strode to the tactical display showing the Veil sector. Mobilize the fleet, all of it. We will end this before it begins. Back on the Heritage Station, Lisa didn't know about the Vor fleet gathering at their borders. She was too busy trying to absorb 5,000 years of human innovation in a matter of weeks. The training programs were remarkable, downloading information directly into their minds through neural interfaces that felt both alien and perfectly natural. Captain, you need to see this, Paul called from the Weapons Control Center. Lisa made her way through the station's corridors, still amazed by how alive it felt despite being empty for so long. Paul stood before a massive display showing the galaxy from above. Red dots appeared at the edge of the Veil sector, hundreds of them. The Vor hegemony. They're massing their entire fleet. How many ships? Lisa asked, though she could count them herself. 3,000 and climbing. Captain, the Council fleet. Protecting us only has 500 ships. We're outnumbered 6-1. Jake entered the room at a run. It gets worse. I've been monitoring communications. The Vor are claiming we're not real humans. They're saying we're some kind of trick, maybe shapeshifters or synthetic beings created by enemies of the state. Lisa laughed bitterly. Let me guess. If we're not real humans, then activating humanity's weapons would be illegal under galactic law. Exactly. They're demanding the Council hand us over for genetic verification. Of course, their verification process would probably involve dissection. Amy's voice crackled over the intercom. Captain, Ambassador Krelock is requesting immediate communication. Lisa activated the nearest screen. The ambassador's 6 eyes were wide with alarm. Captain Morgan, the situation is deteriorating rapidly. The Council is divided. Some members support your claim. Others fear war with the Vor. You must understand the hegemony controls 30% of the galaxy's military forces. And they built that force on humanity's sacrifice. Lisa replied coldly. Ambassador, we've been reviewing the historical records. The Vor were minor players before humanity fell. They swooped in like vultures, claiming everything they could. That may be true, but it doesn't change the current reality. Captain, the Council is considering a compromise. They would grant the Vor limited access to verify your genetic authenticity. No, Lisa said firmly. We've seen what the Vor do to species they consider inferior. We're not submitting to their tests. Krelock's tentacles writhed in distress. Then you must prepare for war. The Council cannot stop them if they choose to attack. After the communication ended, Lisa turned to her officers. How long before the Vor fleet reaches us? 48 hours at their current speed, Jake replied. And our defenses? Paul pulled up another display. The station has weapons, but most of the automated defense platforms are still offline. We've only managed to activate about 20% of them. We need more time. Time we don't have. Lisa moved to the command chair she'd grown familiar with over the past weeks. As she sat, the station's systems connected to her mind. She could feel the sleeping weapons platforms scattered throughout the Forbidden Zone, waiting for human touch to awaken them. There might be another way, Amy said suddenly. I've been studying the communication logs. Before humanity fell, they had allies. Species they protected, traded with, even fought alongside. Those species still exist, and many of them remember. You're suggesting we call for help? I'm suggesting we remind the galaxy what humanity meant to them. The Vor have power, but they've also made enemies. Species they've conquered, oppressed, exploited. If humanity's return meant freedom from the Vor, Lisa considered this. It was risky. Opening communications would reveal their weakness, their tiny numbers. But it might also reveal something else. Do it, she ordered. Open a channel on all frequencies. Let everyone hear this. When the recording light activated, Lisa stood tall despite her exhaustion. She thought of the Admiral's hologram, of the billions of humans who had died to save this galaxy. She thought of her crew, 200 souls standing against an empire. This is Captain Lisa Morgan of the human vessel Horizon's Edge. I speak to all free species of the galaxy. 5,000 years ago, humanity gave everything to save you from the Devourers. We died so you could live. Now, through a miracle of dimensional travel, a small group of humans has returned. She paused, letting the words sink in across a million worlds. The Vor hegemony claims we are false, that we have no right to humanity's legacy. They massed their fleets to destroy us just as they destroyed the memory of what humanity truly was. They built their empire on our graves, enslaved species we once protected, and perverted the peace we died to preserve. The tactical display showed movement across the galaxy, ships changing course, fleets mobilizing. But whose side would they take? We are not the humans who saved you. We are their cousins from another reality, another Earth that never burned. We came here by accident, but we stay by choice. The Devourers still threaten this galaxy. The weapons humanity left behind can stop them, but only if we survive to use them. She looked directly into the recorder, imagining the countless beings, watching across the stars. The Vor fleet approaches. We will fight though we are few. We will stand though we may fall, because that's what humans do. We stand for those who cannot. We fight for those who need protection. We give everything when everything is needed. The question is, will you stand with us? The transmission ended. For long moments, the command center was silent. Then the communication board lit up like a supernova. Hundreds of signals, thousands, coming from every corner of the galaxy. The first clear message came from a species Lisa didn't recognize. Insectoid beings with crystalline wings. The Nexari remember humanity's kindness. Our fleet moves to support you. Another followed immediately. The talons of Kepler stand with Earth's children. The Vor enslaved us for 1,000 years. Today, we reclaim our freedom. More and more messages poured in. Some offered single ships, others entire battle groups. Species the crew had never heard of declared their support, each with stories of how humanity had helped them, protected them, saved them. But the most surprising message came from within the Vor hegemony itself. This is Admiral Krex of the 3rd Vor Fleet. Not all Vor have forgotten honor. My ships will not fire on humanity's children. Any who stand with Earth stand with us. Jake watched the tactical display with growing amazement. Captain, we've got ships coming from everywhere. If even half of these promises are real, we'll outnumber the Vor loyalists 2-1. But Lisa's attention was drawn to something else. At the edge of the galaxy, the lights were growing brighter. The Devourer's scouts were moving faster, as if sensing the growing conflict. They know, she said quietly. The Devourers know we're here. All this activity, all this energy, we're lighting up like a beacon. Paul understood immediately. The war with the Vor isn't the real threat. It's just the opening act. Lisa stood from the command chair. Then we'd better make it count. Jake, coordinate with any ships that arrive. Paul, get those defense platforms online. Amy, see if you can establish communication with those other human realities the Admiral mentioned. If we're going to fight the Devourers, we'll need all the help we can get. As her crew rushed to their tasks, Lisa returned to watching the tactical display. In 48 hours, the Vor fleet would arrive. But now they wouldn't find helpless humans waiting for them. They would find a galaxy beginning to unite, old alliances reforming, Ancient promises remembered. The gathering storm was coming, but for the first time since arriving in this reality, Lisa felt they might actually weather it. Humanity had returned, different but the same, and the galaxy was remembering why that mattered. The Vor fleet hung at the edge of the forbidden zone like a storm cloud ready to break. 3,000 ships, each one bristling with weapons that could crack moons. Supreme Commander Thax stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the forces arrayed against him. Where he had expected to find 200 humans and a few council peacekeepers, he now faced an alliance of dozens of species. 1,500 ships and more arriving every hour, his tactical officer reported. Supreme Commander, perhaps we should reconsider. No, Thax growled. If we let humanity return, everything we've built crumbles. They'll reclaim their worlds, their technology. The galaxy will remember that we were nothing before we took what they left behind. But even as he spoke, doubt crept into his mind. The scanner showed the human station, fully active now, its weapon systems online. Ancient defense platforms had awakened throughout the Forbidden Zone. If the humans had figured out how to use them all. On the station, Lisa stood in the command center, her hand resting on the activation key for weapons she barely understood. The past 48 hours had been a blur of preparation. Ships had arrived from across the galaxy, species she'd never heard of coming to humanity's defense. Each brought stories of how humans had helped them millennia ago. Captain, Amy called, urgently. I'm detecting massive energy spikes at the galactic rim. The Devourers aren't just sending scouts anymore. It's a full probe of our defenses. Lisa turned to the display showing the edge of the galaxy. What had been points of light were now tiers in space itself, growing larger every minute. Through them, she could see shadows moving, vast things that existed between dimensions hungry for the energy of life itself. How long? She asked. At their current rate of expansion, the rifts will be large enough for a full invasion within 6 hours. 6 hours. Lisa looked at the two fleets facing each other, ready to tear each other apart while the real threat approached. She made a decision that would define humanity's role in this new reality. Open a channel to both fleets. Everyone needs to hear this. When the channel opened, Lisa didn't waste time with pleasantries. This is Captain Morgan. I'm transmitting sensor data to all ships. Look at your screens. See what's coming. Across both fleets, beings who had been ready to kill each other suddenly saw the true danger. The rifts at the galaxy's edge, the shadows pushing through, the same horrors that had destroyed Earth 5,000 years ago. Supreme Commander Thax, Lisa continued, addressing him directly. You have a choice. Fight us and weaken the galaxy. Before the real enemy arrives, or stand with us and survive. Your ancestors fought alongside humanity against the Devourers. Are you less than they were? Silence stretched across space. Then a single Vor ship broke formation, moving away from the attack fleet. Then another, and another. Admiral Krex's voice boomed across the communications. The Third Fleet stands with humanity against the Devourers. Any Vor with honor will do the same. Thax watched half his fleet abandon him. His pride warred with his survival instinct. The sensor data was undeniable. The Devourers were coming, and they were far worse than any human threat. All Vor ships, he finally commanded, his voice heavy with resignation. Stand down. Reposition to defensive formation facing the galactic rim. Lisa felt relief flood through her, but it was short-lived. Paul was frantically working at his console. Captain, the weapons we have won't be enough. The original humans had Earth to sacrifice to turn into a weapon. We don't have that option. No, Lisa agreed. But we have something else. She moved to a console that she'd discovered days ago but hadn't fully understood. The dimensional drive the original humans built. They said it could contact other human realities. Jake understood immediately. You want to call for reinforcements? From other versions of Earth? Not just reinforcements. Lisa began activating the system, her fingers flying across controls that felt both foreign and familiar. The Admiral said the Devourers are attracted to energy, to civilizations burning, bright. What if we could give them something irresistible to follow? Amy's eyes widened. You want to create a decoy, a dimensional beacon so powerful, they'll follow it, instead of invading here. But where would it lead? Paul asked. Lisa pulled up the dimensional map the station had compiled. Here, a dead reality, one where the devourers have already consumed everything. We give them a path back to their own graveyard and seal it behind them. It was insane. It was brilliant. It was utterly human. We'll need more power than the station can generate, Paul warned. Lisa turned to look at the assembled fleets. Then we'll ask for volunteers. Every ship that contributes power to the beacon increases our chances. She opened the channel again. All ships, this is Captain Morgan. We have a plan, but we need your help. We're going to create a dimensional beacon, a lure the devourers can't resist. But it requires power, more than we have alone. Any ship that can spare energy, we need you. The response was immediate. Ships from both fleets began moving toward the station, extending power transfer beams. The Vor, the Nexari, the Talons, the Council vessels all contributing what they could. But the most surprising response came from an unexpected source. Space near the station rippled, and 3 ships emerged from dimensional rifts. Human ships, but not like the horizon's edge. These were warships scarred from battle but very much alive. This is Commander Chen of the Earth Defense Ship Phoenix, a voice announced. We received your dimensional signal. Reality 7 stands ready to assist. Another rift opened. Captain Harrison, Reality 3. We've been fighting the Devourers for 50 years. Happy to help you end it. More rifts. More ships. 7 different versions of humanity, each having developed differently, faced different challenges, but all human. All ready to stand together. Lisa felt tears in her eyes. They weren't alone. Humanity, in all its variations, had answered the call. Transferring power grid control to you, Captain Morgan, Commander Chen said. Your reality, your lead. We follow. With the combined power of 3 fleets and 7 versions of human technology, the beacon began to form. It was visible to the naked eye. A pillar of light stretching from the station to the tiers in space where the devourers pushed through. The shadows at the edge of the galaxy paused, sensing the beacon. Then they surged forward, drawn like moths, to a flame. But instead of entering the galaxy, they followed the beacon's path through dimensional space, chasing it toward the dead reality Lisa had selected. It's working, Paul shouted. They're following the beacon. But the devourers weren't stupid. Even as the main force followed the lure, smaller groups tried to break away, to enter the galaxy through the original rifts. This was when the weapons of the Heritage Station proved their worth. Beams of energy that could crack planets lanced out, sealing rifts, destroying scouts, holding the line while the beacon did its work. The Vor fleet, given purpose beyond conquest, fought with unexpected courage. Thax himself led a squadron against a group of devourers that had broken through, his ship's weapons blazing with fury. The crime of trying to destroy humanity seemed small compared to the honor of fighting beside them. The main force has entered the target dimension, Amy reported, beginning isolation protocol. This was the crucial moment. Every human ship, from every reality, channeled their jump drives simultaneously. The combined energy didn't just seal the path to the dead dimension. It burned it from existence, erasing the road entirely. The devourers were trapped in their own graveyard with no way back. The rifts at the galaxy's edge collapsed. The shadows faded. And suddenly, impossibly, it was over. Silence filled the command center. Then cheering erupted, not just from the horizon's edge, but from every ship in the fleet. They had done it. They had stopped the devourers, not with sacrifice but with cooperation, not with death but with cleverness. Supreme Commander Thax's image appeared on the main screen. His 3 eyes showed an emotion Lisa hadn't expected. Respect. Captain Morgan, he said formally. The Vor hegemony officially recognizes humanity's return and your right to reclaim your heritage. We would be honored to help you rebuild. Lisa nodded, too exhausted to hold grudges. The galaxy rebuilds together, Commander. That's what humanity always wanted. Over the next hours, the other human ships began to depart. Each reality had its own challenges, its own story. But they left behind gifts, technology, knowledge, and, most importantly, genetic samples. Humanity could truly return to this galaxy, not as conquerors, but as partners. Commander Chen was the last to leave. You did well, Captain. Your humans took the slow path, but you arrived exactly when you were needed. Will we see you again? Lisa asked. The dimensional drives are here now. All our realities can stay in contact. Humanity is no longer alone in any universe. He smiled. Besides, someone needs to make sure the Devourers stay in their cage. As the last dimensional rift closed, Lisa stood in the command center of the Heritage Station. Around her, her crew worked alongside aliens who had come as enemies and stayed as allies. Outside, the galaxy began to heal from wounds 5,000 years old. Ambassador Krelock appeared on the screen. Captain, the Council has voted unanimously. The Heritage Station is yours, all human worlds are restored to your authority, and we would be honored if you would accept a seat on the Council.